Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here's your host, Joe Kuzma and Brian E. Roach.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast. My name is Joe Kuzma, and joining us today, that appears to be, I thought it was Brian E. Roach, but it appears to be, if you could hear this, if you could see it, it's his bobblehead.
Hello. Hey, Joe. How are you doing, man? Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while.
No, okay, dude. Like, for real. Like, it's you,
what?
And it's your bobblehead. It wouldn't just be your voice. Like if it was my bobblehead, you had to do an impression of me, but it's literally you. Like, it would be like the real.
I don't know what I'm doing. What the hell? Why I made myself James Cagney as a hey, Joe. How you doing? Yeah, big guy. Yeah, how you doing, guy? I don't know.
Yeah, you see coppers.
Yeah, see?
Coppers.
Yeah, see? I don't know.
Yeah, and I almost had a clean getaway. Yeah.
You know, I had to do something. It's I'm what can I tell you? I'm a little loopy.
Ladies and gentlemen, returning after hiking in the Himalayas or wherever the hell he was, one Mr. Brian E. Roach and his bobblehead. And this is what happens when we're up late trying to cover preseason football. Like, yeah, we're turning this into a 53-man roster prediction. Cuts are on Tuesday at 4:00. I imagine there's going to be some of those that start coming before then. So we said, why don't we get the cart in front of this?
I think maybe a couple happened like in the fourth quarter.
Oh, that's
could be wrong, but I think some guys just got tickets and they were like suddenly not on the sideline and said, hey, look, you might want to go down to Walmart.
They're hiring. Hey, yeah. No joke though. When they folded that Alliance of American Football a few years ago, some of those players were actually stranded. They didn't have a ticket home or anything. Like, that's kind of scary. I mean, I don't think the NFL's doing anyone dirty like that.
They don't usually work that way, but
Yeah. So, I mean, do we have anything to say about the second half of the game? I think pretty much anybody you saw that wasn't already playing in the first two quarters
except Mason
Rudolph, who proved that I don't know what he really proved. He scampered for a first down.
Proved that he's the third string quarterback.
4th and 1 and got bent like a pretzel. See, you were watching the Atlanta Falcons feed, you said, because you were on the NFL Network.
I'm on the NFL Plus. I'm on the NFL Plus, my friend.
Why don't they give you both options on that? Because they're
do
all home
for the
broadcast.
Radio broadcast.
Yeah, but not on the.
But
yeah,
I had to sit here and listen to them talk about nachos that come in the shape of the stadium. I had to listen to them tell me. I had to listen to them tell me how much Mike Tomlin loves Kendrick Green and that Kendrick Green is the secret weapon on the Steelers.
No, they did not.
Oh, yes, they did.
See, we're going to go through these numbers. I'm still a little iffy on Kendrick Green, but we'll get to that. But you could always hear Charlie Batch or Bob Pompiani like butcher names, Kenny Pickens and George Pickett. We'll never get those two right. And I'm not saying he said it. Somebody said it on the broadcasting, but Charlie Batch on like 4th and 1 and Atlanta's down 14-0 in a preseason game is talking. He just goes into this spiel about like, make sure you have like your head on a swivel and make sure you're alert. They could try for a fake here. And I'm like, I'm staring at my television screen like, I wonder who's watching the Atlanta broadcast and if it's any better. And you've just made it clear that it wasn't.
No, it's far worse. And then even to go further, at halftime, they bring the owner of the Falcons, Arthur Blank, out, and he has to then say, "You guys are doing a fantastic job. I wish I could carry you through the whole season." And I'm thinking, no, you really can't possibly mean that.
No, he can't. We may as well. It's a little bit of a. I haven't talked to you the whole preseason, right?
No, we have not.
You've not been
other
on.
Than, a couple text messages back and forth.
Well, yes, we were talking about games and stuff like that. But I'm talking about like you haven't been on any of the shows. So
I have not. I've missed everyone. Hi, everyone. I've missed you.
Brad didn't want to appear on camera, but now he misses you. So once again, my name is Joe Kuzma. This is the host who doesn't like toast and one Mr. Brian E. Roach. We didn't even get a proper introduction to the show. So Brian, we know it's preseason football. Flash has been going off on people, probably with a few adult beverages on the old X. I actually updated some of the branding here. It now says somewhere there X instead of I don't know, Twitter. Are they still tweets? I don't know what it's supposed to be. You're staring around like
I'm trying to see it. Oh yeah, I can find it. I found it.
I know it's not the best logo in the world there, but hey, he's talking about preseason football, and I had to back him up on something where people are like, "Oh, it's just the preseason. Oh, it's just the preseason," and it's like, would you rather it look like this or not? Because I can remember folks who were all up in their feels about Josh Dobbs, even 3 years after he had the 5 or 6 scoring drives, not even all ending in touchdowns, about him being a potential backup in some type of era to Ben Roethlisberger future or whatever. Would you rather see the guy they used the first round pick on? And all of these other weapons and all the other things that the new GM and his assistant GM and this whole turnover and everything, it was going to take the Steelers forever to recover and rebuild from Ben Roethlisberger. Would you rather see the way it's going in the preseason like this, or would you rather see them struggle and look like crap? I would prefer the perfect passer rating Kenny Pickett version myself.
Right. I mean, I may have told you this. I did not get to watch any of the first game. Didn't watch it a moment of it.
Yeah, but you didn't.
I know. Other than the first drive, which I went back and watched later. Right.
Okay.
But I watched the second game, the Bills game. I watched obviously the Atlanta game. I am not I certainly, think that there's always room for improvement. There's things they can do better, but I'm very encouraged by the physicality of the offensive line. I'm very encouraged by the performance of the first team. And it's nice to see them scoring, right? I mean, I'd rather they score the way they have been than, come out and go 3 and out and then play 7 series and maybe get 1 touchdown. Let them get their work done and be done. Hey, I'm all about that. Plus, it's preseason. Who gives a crap?
Yeah, I mean, I get it. And they're playing against first teams in some cases. And there's been a lot of talk. Yeah. Well, yeah, not today. Well, it's Atlanta. I'm not going to say that Atlanta's first teamers, if they do that against Buffalo, Atlanta's
the first series in Buffalo was an impressive series.
It really was. And I was trying to explain this once again to someone who had never been to a football game before and how these things go. And I said, last week it was hey, this team wasn't scoring points at all last year. So to see them score 14 points in 5 minutes is pretty impressive. They go out there again, this evening and put up, what was it, 6 minutes or 7 minutes, put up 14 points again and just pretty much just wallop every phase, every level, every tier, every backup, everybody that gets in there. So this will give us an opportunity to talk a little bit about everybody, but I just kind of was getting your thoughts on that because I saw literally one of probably the biggest critics on social media, not somebody that really be named, so to speak, that everybody was just crap. Mike Tomlin's crap, Matt Canada's crap, and all this stuff. Everybody needs fired last year. The crowd. Fire Mike Tomlin, fire Matt Canada, issuing apologies. And that's where I pull back and I'm like, wait, it's just the preseason. But still the execution, everything is just looking pretty darn good. It will change when you got to play against real first teams and everything like that. But it is at least promising and at least shows that the Steelers have quite a bit of depth because, like we said, for most of the second half, minus Mason Rudolph, Broderick Jones getting, getting his chops in there and guys like that, a lot of these players aren't going to be on this roster come Tuesday at 4:00. So without further ado, I don't think it's it's time. I'm going to pull out, I got an Excel sheet. You're just going to have to deal with me as we try and figure this out. And this is pulled off of, I did a way too early, whatever kind of article last week. So.
Well, and didn't we do one of these way too earlys a month and a half ago? Yeah,
we did actually. So give me 1 second here as I try to I'm setting up so Excel looks presentable. In a presentable
put a nice pretty pink skirt on it.
Well, that would make it look presentable. I think Excel would like that. Excel would
You
say,
know,
"Thank you, Brian.
I feel pretty now.
Thank you, Brian." Like, yeah,
Excel is
like,
so pretty.
so pretty, very pretty. It's so pretty. Well, I'm trying to get it.
This is the most entertaining part of the show we've ever had.
It is.
As we
I got it.
prep Excel.
Well, it's because I already. Okay, so this was already pulled off my previous article. But we're going to make some adjustments here and figure out, like, for example, the 3 quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Mitch Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, that ain't going nowhere, so to speak.
Nope.
So I could be like real fancy here and just kind of black out. I'm going to do that. I'm going to black this out, and then we will it's not going to let me do that. You know why? This will be hilarious for the people that are like actually seeing this, because this is what it does. It's in that table striped thing. Darn you, technology. I'm trying to do like the spoilers version of this. So, you know what? You know what? I'm still going to be able to do that. You know why? Because
you're the man.
I am a bright guy. Well, we kind of talked about this, like, what seems like almost forever. Myself and Flash were discussing, 6 wide receivers, 3 running backs, and all that jazz. So I'm still not sold on who they keep and where they keep them. For example, we were just talking about Kendrick Green, for example, and they were using him a little bit as a fullback. We're not seeing them show their hand on that in the preseason. Not that I thought that they would. And he's playing a lot of center, and he made a lot of mistakes early in the first 2 games. And he played like he's been playing as the primary backup. He's very much in danger of being cut if they don't trade somebody else on this line that they signed. I've been talking about Kevin Dotson specifically, because why did they bring Nate Herbig in? A healthy Nate Herbig, that's your top guard. You're dressing probably 8 guys or so, maybe bringing someone from the practice squad. You still got Spencer Anderson. So, okay, our spoiler-free version, though, of this, getting back to 3 quarterbacks, we know that's 3 spots already off the top.
That is.
Yeah.
That means by the way, the maths are hard, but the maths would tell me that means there's 50 spots left.
That is 50 spots left. And you know what? We could do it, but I'm not going to just yet. But we do have 3 others. You want to do the math there? It's going to be a kicker, a punter, and a long snapper, so that'll give you 47.
Well, but wait, I've been reading all kinds of articles. There's a competition for the long snapper.
Is there really? They're still going to keep one of them, so just reserve 1 spot. I don't give a flying like which one it is.
But who's? Yeah, no, I don't really.
The same thing with like Braden Mann. Hey, by the way, the Husky punter had a pretty nice punt tonight.
He did. He's actually had a very solid. Mm-hmm. The big fat punter is making me happy with him again. Call him that. I'm going to keep calling him that, Husky. especially because the Atlanta team had to point out that he is a big fat punter. They didn't call him a big fat punter, but apparently they have their own version of the big fat punter. He's just bigger and slenderer. He weighs a little less, but he's a little taller. Whereas our punter is short and fat. Compared.
Funter.
So our funter. Fat. That's
PH.
It. Funter. We have a funter. He's a fat punter.
Yeah, with a PH instead of an F, and PH is his initials too. So this is all coming together. Like, again, folks, when people are, Brian doesn't do the energy drinks anymore, and he doesn't drink coffee. So
and I'm tired. I'm old and I'm tired. But be that as it may, I rode my bicycle 16 miles this morning. I'm tired.
Bicycle. Okay,
let's not sing Queen songs.
No, it's probably better. You're not Brian Mercury over there.
And you are not Freddie Mercury. Okay, anyway, what the hell was I? Oh, the big fat punter.
Big fat punter.
Presley Harvin has had a very solid preseason. Hopefully he does not turn into a pumpkin when the games start to count. But I'm impressed, and it's more consistent than I've seen him be. And it's better than he looked the last preseason. So all that stuff is good. Right. So yes. So we have a big fat punter. We have a long snapper, and we have Chris Boswell, the Wizard of Boz. So, all right, that the maths tell me that we now have 47 spots left.
Yes, 47, but I'm not putting those guys are at the bottom of the list. They're already numbered, so just figure that those 3 are out. So
I'm with you.
We're not going to do all that big math. Running backs. I've been making the argument as to keeping 2. The Steelers do have a history of only keeping 2. We've mentioned this many a times. That was like when my favorite player to speak of from the past. LeGarrette Blount, who quit on the team, really left the team in a lurch when Lev Bell got hurt that one year. Then they only had they only had Bell and D'Angelo Williams for a little while, 1A, 1B. So like Fitz Toussaint, for example, was called up from the practice squad, then signed from the practice squad. Well, I should say it was that way because they didn't always have this call up like in the middle. It was like the whole like catch release waiver claim, everything. Ross Ventrone went through it like about 50 times. So Fitz Toussaint, Terrell Edmonds, oh geez, I can't even remember everybody now, but there's been a number of them over the years, even Anthony McFarland last year, although they did have 3 running backs because Benny Snell was part of the equation and is no longer part of that equation this year. So the question is, right now, I'm going to leave 3 running backs in on this spot. I'm thinking Anthony McFarland has done enough to probably win a job, and he's probably going to be returning kicks. But it's not a given, especially when we start to jump into wide receiver. Any thoughts on that? I'm going to throw the fullback kind of thing in with Kendrick Green either being an offensive lineman or Connor Hayward being a tight end, just so you know I'm not lumping them in with the backs here, just the 3 running backs.
I do think there'll be 3 running backs. I think that Anthony McFarland has done actually more than enough to get on the roster. He's looked sharp and good. He's made some nice runs. Admittedly, it hasn't been with the varsity team, but still, I think he's done enough. Jaylen Warren's going nowhere. Most of the preseason, he's looked better than Najee has. I thought Najee actually looked pretty good this game early.
Yeah, agreed.
So that was all good stuff. But I think that's the 3 running backs you're going to have.
Yeah.
Nobody else has made any kind of a statement that they should be on the list.
Yeah, it sounds like, some folks want to talk about like Greg Bell, for example, and I'm just like, Greg Bell is not somebody I think that really has a shot at making the team. It'll be like a practice squad type deal if it were to happen. Wide receiver wise, though, this is where it gets a little tricky, and we were right ahead of the news. I wish we would have saw it when we were recording, but Flash and I were talking about how Keem Butler and Cody White were probably on their way out, especially Butler not playing. I didn't realize he actually got dinged or got hurt. And I was thinking about this. You kind of get ahead of the weekend. You get ahead of the other cuts. If these guys got to go through the waiver claim process, as I was explaining how that works, you go through the draft order. The team's supposed to draft order, obviously, because the Bears traded out of their pick, the Browns traded their pick, but the position that they're in is the same for the waiver claims up until the trade deadline, and then they go into the standings order. So those teams get an opportunity to add to the roster by, if other teams they cut somebody who's not a tenured, a 4-year pro, for example, player. If they're not a 10-year player, then they're subject to waivers. Another team could claim them, and whoever has the highest claim order ends up acquiring that player in their contract, which is usually whatever's left of a rookie contract. When they do that now, the Steelers, it tells me both of those guys will be back on the practice squad because they don't have to. They've gone through waivers. Most of these teams aren't looking to add to their 90-man rosters right now. They're not making these changes ahead of preseason games. So the Steelers, Omar Khan's doing some more con artist type stuff right here, in my opinion, as I do believe that I really strongly believe one, if not both of those guys will be back. Des Fitzpatrick's made some nice special teams plays though, to make you, I think, at least consider him as one of these practice squad guys, but not a 53-man roster guy. So to cover the top of the roster here, Brian, you've got Deontay Johnson, you've got George Pickens, you've got Allen Robinson.
Are you sure? Do you think George Pickens has really done enough?
Well,
all right. Okay, I guess so.
Okay. I'm disappointed. He should have also scored on that catch that he made, that deep catch. So just not good enough for me. Sorry. Just in the very good category, not great.
You know what?
Yeah.
The hell with it. Cut him.
Yeah.
No,
boy, you tell it.
Wait.
Yeah,
okay.
Get the fresh sarcasm sign out. Yes, in the frame.
All right,
Put it there. But okay, I put 4 here, and then Calvin Austin, who has done a really bang-up job as a punt returner so far.
Yes, he has.
My goodness, he's just an extra weapon. When you look at that, the Steelers defense goes out there and says, well, we're going to make a statement too. Landon Roberts nearly kills Taylor Heineke or Logan Woodside or whoever the heck was in there at that point. TJ Watt gets a sack. They were just They looked sharp, but it wasn't all starters. I don't think Cam was out there. I'm not sure that Larry Ogunjobi was or not. There were a few veterans I saw got rested. For example, I think Kendrick Green started at right guard, if I'm not mistaken, and James Daniels wasn't out there. And we'll talk about the offensive line. Let's get to that in a second. But wide receiver wise, are you doing 5 or are you doing 6? I don't know that Gunner's done enough to get a job. I like Miles Boykin for special teams. And, you've got a couple other dudes that are out there.
When's the last time they only kept 4 wide receivers?
Well, they're never going to keep just 4, I don't think.
No. There's going to be a 5th wide receiver.
It's just the numbers game because you don't want certain guys on the field for special teams purposes that could get injured. They'll be active on game day. Now, they kept 6 last year, which surprised me, and I was wrong about this. But I'm still hedging my bets on Miles Boykin. Flash had still had me kind of even leaning in on Gunnar Olszewski, which we'll have to cut someone else. I'm not going to put him in here just yet. You saw my initial list, but we'll see if there's room to trim some fat and make room for Gunnar later. How about that? Is that fair?
That's fair. I tend to lean towards Miles Boykin. I think he's got more versatility than Gunnar does, and he's bigger, and Gunnar's tiny.
Yeah, well, speaking of tiny, I mean, you've got Kelvin Austin's.
Well, he's very tiny, but he's very fast. And he's shifty. He's very, very fast. I don't know if you've noticed this in watching him.
Oh yeah,
he's really fast.
I don't pay attention to these games. I don't know what you're talking about. So
he's shifty. He's got shiftiness, and he's fast.
Shiftiness. By the way,
yes.
Come on, George. You could do better than that. So close. Oh, so close.
Oh, so close.
The end zone there. Najee on the sidelines. You didn't get the Steelers feed. They were talking about how all the running backs had to bet the score, a touchdown.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome by itself. So, anyways, I'm going to leave it there just for now, not to put words in your mouth, but I think it simplifies things to just leave the wide receivers there, because then you start to get into the kerfluffle.
Kerfluffle.
Yes. Great word, by the way, if it is a word. I think it's a word. I'm going to Google that. I'm going to find out. Kerfluffle. We start with
I don't think it's a kerfluffle. I think it's a kerfuffle.
It's a kerfuffle? I don't know. It's Yinzer speak.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. It's whatever I make it, because I'm special.
Fair enough.
I'm never wrong.
I'm going to just let you know a little secret. You're not special.
I'm not. How dare you?
It's a Shinedown song, man. It's a Shinedown song.
You know what? Like I told you, I was saying this like last week that I'm not the best, or the last show, I'm not the best for music trivia. So I will always just butcher the music trivia.
All right. Well, then now you've segued into this other bit. So we went up to Woodstock a couple weekends ago in New York. Not the Woodstock where Woodstock actually was. That's actually in Bethel Woods in New York, as opposed to Woodstock where it was supposed to be. So anyway, Woodstock's is a little artsy fartsy community. They do a lot of, oh yes, we should have been the great, big festival place, and wow, but it was us, but we didn't have enough room or whatever. They couldn't do it. Anyway, we bought this game called Name That Lyric. And it's basically, they have to do, and I'm going to call my wife out on this anyway. So you get a song, right? And you have these 6 categories, right? It's country or rock. No, country's out. Thank God. There was no country. It's rock, indie, R&B, hip hop, stuff like that, right? And so it says, okay, you read the lyric and one of the words is a blank, right? And so you have to say stuff like getting blanky with it, or getting blank with it, right? And that's supposed to be getting jiggy with it, right? So they're supposed to figure it out. Anyway, it's a rock song. And we're going, okay, well, this is just too easy. You're going to get this. And the lyric was, with the lights out, it's less blank. Here we are now.
Why am I drawing a blank, but I shouldn't be?
You shouldn't be. I like you suck too.
Yeah, okay. Well, all I was thinking of was like the cards I could draw. Like,
and I'm not going to tell anybody what the lyric is. They can put it in the comments if they could guess. But it's Nirvana.
Oh,
the song is "Smells Like Teen Spirit."
Oh, geez, like I'm not even sure.
No good reason for you not to know that.
I'm gonna throw the girlfriend under the bus who really likes Pearl Jam, because there was like this whole like video, and she's big Pearl Jam fan, right?
Yeah.
And Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder, and the whole joke is like, can you understand what that guy's saying? Like I don't even think that's one of them, but yeah, there's times
I was doing a really bad Yellow Ledbetter there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, geez, and that's the one too. That's like
that's the one.
There's a few, and so, but I was thinking of like the other things you could have for the cards other than trying to blank, something like blank the police.
My daughter would not get that lyric right because she would never say the word.
Yeah,
so.
It's just
like, no, I got it.
I was wondering if it was like a little more censored, or if it was like Cards versus Humanity, where it's just everything's like no holds barred.
My wife laughed so hard because I had more hip hop answers right than I had anything else. But that's just because there's a little spinner and I kept getting hip hop. And so the last one I had was I like big blanks and I cannot lie.
Jeez.
And I was like, really?
Yeah, that would be pretty embarrassing if you didn't know that one. And, you know, by the way, kerfuffle.
I just told you, yeah.
Kerfuffle.
I told you it wasn't.
Kerfluffle,
It's not. It was not a fluffle. You called it a kerfluffle,
dude.
And it's not fluffy.
You know, I don't make up like the ins and everything like that. My mother is straight, got the Pittsburgh lingo, the Rust Belt kind of lingo down, the jargon. Jag wasn't used around the house very often, but I picked that one up because I just like calling people Jags. Like that's fun.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, I'm sure this is one that I picked up from her.
All right.
Like my uncle says, people say refrigerator and not like refrigerator. Like they say fridge, but refrigerator. Like, yeah, like I was saying, worse. Anyways, back to
the actual topic of this.
The thing we're all here for.
I apologize for the 15-minute segue on music trivia.
No, that's pretty good. I wish I could, you know, I kept thinking about different Pearl Jam songs and just that, and then just gonna be so mad that I put that out in public. But no, I don't have anything against them. Like I'm not making fun of them or anything. There's other people.
I like Pearl Jam.
Actually, I was at PNC Park last week before the preseason game, just to kind of segue some more, and some people were like ripping on Axl Rose. Guns N' Roses, you know, they had a few of the original members back. They were there at PNC on Friday night, the night before the Steelers game on Saturday against the Bills. And those dudes played for 3 hours straight, man. That was just unreal. And there's people that are actually, what is Axl now? I got to look him up. He's probably pushing 60-ish, somewhere in there. And to go
He can't be.
He doesn't.
I'm 60. He's younger than I am.
But if you've done the amount of cocaine.
All right. In cocaine years. Yes, he is, you know.
No, he's 61. Like legitimately. February 6th, 1962. He's 61 years old.
That's crazy.
So now at that age, like you lose like you know, being able your ability. It's the same thing. Like guys can't play football. Cut this guy up. They went 3 hours. Like he lost his voice at one part. He's playing like the piano for what is it, November Rain. And literally he keeps playing like with one hand, grabs a solo cup, takes whatever drink he has. Maybe it has honey in it, maybe vodka, who knows. And because his voice was getting like a little raspy, and then he was clear, and then he finished off strong. And it was just like, dude, like, that's a machine. There's a lot of respect there. There's a lot of respect for that. But anyways, tight ends.
All right, I'm listening.
Yeah, okay. I'm just checking, make sure you're still there.
I had to do something over here.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm listening.
Well, you're not on the screen anyways. I know. The trusty Excel sheet is up.
Excel sheet's up.
Pat Freiermuth, Zach Gentry, Darnell Washington, and Connor Hayward. And Connor Hayward's going to get a lot of usage. Darnell's the rookie, and I don't know. I said Zach Gentry could have a hot seat, but I don't see a situation where they risk where Pat Freiermuth's had his concussion problems or history or the way that's even handled anymore. You're not just going to be like, here, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. You're going to sit somebody out. So I don't see where they just have Zach Gentry, or not Zach Gentry, but Darnell Washington and Connor Hayward as the only guys available, unless they need to make room and they feel that how many Robinsons are on this team? One of the Robinsons is the tight end too, that they could put one of these guys like on the actual practice squad. So
I don't think you can put any of those 3 guys on the practice squad. Well, Gentry, I think, is too tenured. You can't put him probably on. He's probably not practice squad eligible.
No, not at all.
But you're never going to get Darnell Washington on the practice squad. And frankly, you're never going to get Connor Hayward on there either. So you're either keeping them or accepting that they're going to go to a different team.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't argue with any of that.
Yes. So, what else was I going to say? I should mention that the Ravens 24-0, 25-0, whatever their streak was, snapped by Washington. Their stupid little preseason unbeaten streak. But the Steelers are kind of. Did they lose one last year either? Now I got to look.
I don't even care.
I know I don't care either, but it's kind of funny, and it's a good momentum, especially in the fashion that they've been doing all this, the way they've been finishing off games. So, let's jump into now. Offensive line gets to be a little fun.
This gets a little trickier.
Well, let's get the starters at least. Pseudo starters in your starters and/or first round pick. So you've got Mason Cole, James Daniels, Chukwuma Okorafor, Isaac Seumalo, and then Broderick Jones and or Dan Moore Jr. And there's still some talk as to whether or not Jones was fantastic again tonight. I think he's been good, but Dan Moore has also been really good. But the guy who's really been really good, if you want to look, running off the left side, Seumalo.
Oh God, yes.
And did you see Darnell Washington too? Darnell Washington sealed the one that Warren went in on. So that it's just like, wow, man, it just feels very promising, to say the least, with this whole group. But I would say they're all going to be there. They're not going to trade Dan Moore at this point, and they definitely have had.
I don't think they were ever going to trade Dan Moore. If they're going to trade anybody, it's going to be a 69.
Yeah, Kevin Dotson.
Yeah.
So, but I still wanted to just. In the case of this is where we're going to start to maybe have a disagreement, so to speak. But you put this out there, and you've got Nate Herbig, Kevin Dotson, Kendrick Green. So you're keeping 9 offensive linemen. They've done this before. They could keep only 8. They will keep at least 8 because that's the way it's structured in order to call the 2 guys up on game day from the practice squad roster.
They will keep
active. So they'll at least keep 8. I mean, you can make an argument here that Kendrick Green isn't the guy that stays, and maybe they keep Spencer Anderson. I guess Spencer Anderson was, again, taking some snaps at the end of training camp, just folded up during the week. So, and in the game, I think he took 1 or 2. He got a couple. It's so hard to pay attention with the janky camera and
here's
coverage.
The kick. Yeah. If they really think that Kendrick Green can play some fullback and that he's going to be a secret weapon, which I don't believe Mike Tomlin is in love with Kendrick Green. No. Right? I don't think Mike Tomlin thinks Kendrick Green is their secret weapon. But if they have a package where they think Kendrick Green can be the fullback, right? The question is that worth trying to make him the backup center? And I don't think it is. While I did not see him planted on his ass in this game, I saw him planted on his ass in the 2 previous games.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with Kendrick Green at center under any circumstances. If we're down to our 3rd center, I want us signing someone off the street before I let Kendrick Green be the guy that's protecting the middle and Kenny Pickett in that way. So I will tell you that I am as far out on Kendrick Green as I can be. I would much rather keep Anderson because I think he has a lot more upside. He's played every position on the line. He's got more versatility, and I have not seen him planted on his ass.
Well, Kendrick Green kind of led the way for the Anthony McFarland touchdown. And
he did.
Just to kind of point that out, I'm going to say something with Mark, who's one of our newest contributors at SCU. Mark's been around all summer, off and on the website, so go check it out, steelcityunderground.com, of course. He made a good point to me the other day. He goes, with at least the one drive with Mitch Trubisky against the Bills, and they had trouble punching the ball in. He said, there's where you want Kendrick Green on the roster. I said, can't necessarily argue that because I've watched him pancake some lesser guys. Like I said, Quincy Roche, David Perales, Tanner Muse were having trouble with him. Yeah, he's a big boy to bring down. And I saw a little bit of good stuff, but yeah, I don't think he's in love. Mike Tomlin's in love with him. I don't think anybody's really in love with them. And if that's who you had to go with, but who do you go with otherwise? You have to go with probably just Spencer Anderson, or you only keep 8, which could free up a roster spot somewhere else. But for what? A 6 wide receiver for Gunner? Like, are you going to do that for Gunner?
No, you're not going to do it for Gunner. I mean, that's the bottom line. If they think they can get Spencer Anderson on the practice squad, and I don't know, to be honest with you. He is a guy that probably shouldn't have gone as late in the draft as he did. Same way. I mean, the Steelers have gotten really good at picking guys who shouldn't be where they are, right? Like George Pickens should not have slipped to where he slipped.
No.
Just there's more than that, but that's just the case. If they think they can get him on the practice squad, then maybe they can keep, Kendrick Green. I guess I'm at the point where I don't care if they keep Kendrick Green. I'm more inclined to say, if it's if you're sacrificing another offensive lineman to do it, then I don't do it. If you're sacrificing Gunner, maybe I make that choice. Maybe it's worth having him there to be the short yardage specialist, to become what was his name? Rosie, to become the new Rosie.
Yeah. Well, my point is whether you're sacrificing Anthony McFarland.
No,
which
I'm not. No,
we've already fit McFarland in on this particular iteration, and that's where it becomes tricky, because let's go with the top end of the defensive line here. This is where it's top heavy. You didn't have the Steelers broadcast, but Bob Pompiani and Charlie Batch, play-by-play and color guys for the Steelers feed, we're discussing this. You got Cam Hayward, Larry Ogunjobi, DeMarvin Leal, Keanu Benton. Keanu Benton is a menace to society. Absolutely. This draft class is just insane. Like, I just, where do you start? Like, Broderick Jones eventually will get out there. You've got Joey Porter Jr. and you've got Keanu Benton now. A lot of people forget about that because of Porter having his links and being kind of the hometown guy, kind of the way Kenny Pickett was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Broderick Jones, because everybody was said left tackle, left tackle, left tackle, left tackle. So, and they moved up to get him. So Keanu Benton, though, is really making like a push. Keanu Benton, in all reality, is probably number 27 on this list and might be the starting nose tackle. And that's where this really does get a little trickier, though, Brian, because I don't know what to do with like Brayton Fehoko. Armon Watts, Montrevious Adams, Isaiah Loudermilk. I had the three of these guys on the way too early, or at least the last week's version of it, with Loudermilk, Watts, and Adams. So you're keeping 7 defensive linemen. I don't know. That could easily be Watts or Adams for Fehoko. I don't think they keep Watts, Adams, and Fehoko and Loudermilk with all the other names either.
No, you're not going to keep all 3.
Too many dudes.
Pull that list up again.
There it is.
All right. So Watts, Adams, and Fehoko are sort of the same guy.
Yes.
All right. So I don't think you're keeping 2 of the same guy. I think Loudermilk has a good chance to come in as a backup defensive lineman. Outside of that, I think it's
as
probably as an end. So the question is, do you have another end outside of DeMarvin Leal who can play on that spot? I don't think Watts, and certainly not Montrevious Adams, or even I can't say his name.
Well, Leal, I'd say Leal.
Leal absolutely can. I said,
Benton will probably, he's like a 5 technique guy that'll play everywhere. So he might be like a nose tackle, like Alu did that.
Yes, he did.
And then kicked over.
It's surprising.
Wormley tried to do that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
He just didn't have enough junk in the trunk, in my opinion. So
I just don't think though. I agree. I don't think they're going to keep all of them. I think they'll keep Loudermilk. Though, it's really hard to say. I didn't pay enough attention to second quarter defensive line play. I didn't see Loudermilk out there a lot until second half.
Yeah, he was there. I could probably tell you, we don't have snap counts on kind of those don't come right away. They take like a day or so for the league to process those.
Yeah.
So, but as far as your starters in the game, Leal was an end. They have Adams and Loudermilk listed as the tackles as the starting defense. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cole Holcomb, and Landon Roberts, Levi Wallace, and Patrick Peterson with Minka Fitzpatrick and Keanu O'Neal. So that just kind of shows you there the do not plays were like Cam Hayward, Larry Ogun, Joby. Like I said, James Daniels wasn't out there either. So kind of, I think, more veteran thing, or if they were a little just banged up. Yeah.
Known instances, they don't need him.
But you're right, though. Watts, Fehoko, and Adams, all the same guy. You don't need three of them when you also have a fourth guy in Benton that could do that and more. So it's going to make it. But I think they need just enough bodies, because even like the Carlos Davis and his brother, the other, I can't remember. Were they both Carlos? One with a C, one with a K? I can't remember. But yeah, they were both like on and off the
name
roster.
Was Bill.
Bill.
Carlos and Bill.
Carlos and Bill. Let's go to linebackers. It'll make this easier. Because
I do think they'll keep Fehoko. That's
possibly.
Just me. And I'm guessing it'll probably be Montravius Adams that's on the outs.
I was thinking one of the guys that has to be a veteran, and then you go with whoever has the more. You got to have like at least one guy that's veteran out of that group. And if Fehoko has like a higher potential, then that's a possibility always. So linebackers, let's see.
Keep them all. Screw it.
Yep, every single one, every last one of them.
Even the ones that haven't played yet. Keep them all.
This is tough, dude. It's hard out there for this group. Not for TJ Watt or Alex Highsmith, and not for Cole Holcomb or Landon Roberts, or even Quan Alexander. Marcus Golden as a backup outside linebacker, and Nick Herbig. Herbig is still the biggest surprise to me. Like, it reminds me of like, hey, they might have found Sutton Smith, this dude. Like, oh, here's somebody in the middle rounds. Could be like a pass rusher. Even Quincy Roche, who's still on the roster, it was like, oh, here's somebody you can find. So, like, I really tempered my expectations on all the noise with that. But, man, is he a little monster, a little daredevil. That guy is just, like, all over the field, getting after quarterbacks. He might push. I can't even say that, like, with a straight face, to be completely honest. That he's going to push Golden for some playing time with the backup. They'll probably rotate them both or some rotation, because Golden has been good too.
Golden's going to be the first man in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
But I think Herbig will be the second man in. I think he's going to get as many snaps as Golden? No, I don't think he will, unless remember, he's been doing the bulk of his spectacular work against second and third team
absolutely
players.
But he's playing above the line.
He is playing above the line, right?
Yeah.
He is showing out. The question is, I don't recall seeing him against first team players yet. Doesn't mean he wasn't out there and I missed it. I think he's going to get his opportunity, because I think he's going to make the roster and he's going to be a guy that gets snaps. But let's temper our expectations a little bit until we see him go against.
I'm still surprised. He posterized that guy tonight.
Oh, he did. He made him look sick. Ridiculous.
And then your inside linebackers, Mark Robinson, got in there with Joey Porter Jr., and then the other Robinson, Kenny Robinson, ends up winning a ball out of there. So now we're at 8 linebackers, 4 outside are in your edge, and 4 of your interior guys. You have 8 total.
And I think that's probably right.
Oh, but you know what? It does leave a spot open. It does leave a to be determined. So, and there's guys like Tanner Muse, Nick Kwiatkowski, and that's about it. So right now I'm going to leave that open. That could even be
Could be Tanner Muse. I think Tanner Muse has a shot to be a special teams and a solid backup guy.
Yeah, he looked better last week. And I just don't see where, when we get into the defensive backs and we get into the corners, where there's more room to add, unless they want to add like an actual corner, which that could be the spot. Maybe there's 8 linebackers and then there's 6 corners. There could be somebody cut from another camp. But right now you got Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., Levi Wallace. Shannon Sullivan has impressed me enough. James Pierre is not very impressive, but he is somebody that is at least experienced. and can play some special teams, they'll have at least
yeah,
5
the question
minimum.
is, who are you going to put? Yeah, I don't think they go to 4. 4 is too thin,
No.
right? And so who else are you going to put? Is any? I mean, number 17 has looked okay, but he hasn't looked great, and he's made as many mistakes as he has nice plays.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I just. Who else are you going to pick?
That's a great question. That's what I was actually thinking. You know, when you go through the list of all the other defensive backs, you know what, I may as well. There's some guys like Elijah Riley that have been kind of playing in the slot too. Let's add the safeties to this, and then we can come back around, because I'm actually quite intrigued on what happens with Trey Norwood. This would put us at 50, by the way. We still have like a spot open here at 40 that I left because originally I had Nick Kwiatkowski in there, and then didn't look like he was playing a whole lot. I think they know that he's only a special teams guy, so he could be safe. And that brings me back around to something I said to Flash, by the way. I'm thinking about Herbig again, Nick Herbig. Like, we were all enamored with Tuzar Skipper. You know what I mean? But I think Nick Herbig is different. Like, it just feels different. Maybe it's just because he's a rookie. And he was somebody they used the draft pick on, but it feels different. It doesn't feel like mop up duty. It feels like he's going and getting quality sacks. You know what I mean? So just something to chew on. Okay. Minka, DeMonte Casey, Keanu Neal, Miles Killebrew, Trey Norwood. I don't know that these are all locks. This is where you might keep an extra body like Elijah Riley, Kenny Robinson. Kenny Robinson may have done enough to make this roster. The problem you got is you're still a little thin. You're thin at corner if you move any of those corners. So you could sacrifice the one spot where we didn't add a Tanner Muse or Nick Kwiatkowski to this, or Roche didn't really show anything. David Perales, it's preseason. He's playing against backup guys too. So I think the writing's pretty much on the wall for a lot of those guys. So if you don't add one of the, like a Muse or Kwiatkowski, which are going to play primarily special teams. Now remember, Muse also played some safety in the league as well. So he's a little more versatile of a guy in case they need him. Keanu Neal as well. So, I mean, they did this with Marcus Allen. They had like a guy like this that was a versatile kind of chess piece. Trey Norwood is mainly like a special teams type guy. I thought he did enough before. I thought he looked good enough in camp, but Miles Killebrew, very much a special teams demon. But then a guy you're probably going to have or see out on the field. So that's where I'm like a little, I'm hesitant because I could easily take that one open spot we have left. I could easily trade Kevin Dotson or cut Kendrick Green or allow Spencer Anderson to be on the practice squad to only have 8 offensive linemen and make a spot for, I'm going to say Kenny Robinson, because I feel like Kenny Robinson is the guy out of all of these guys that you still have Keanu Neal and Casey. You've got like they want to do some 3 safety looks, but let's just say somebody gets hurt, and let's say Neal and Casey both have some injury histories, but particularly Neal does, right? And Neal's done; he's out for the season. You need that third guy. Is it going to be Trey Norwood, or would it be Kenny Robinson? And at this point, my gut tells me Kenny Robinson, like the whole way. Elijah Riley's looking more like he would be playing like a slot or a nickel corner. He'd be in that spot, and really, he was already hedging that way before Duke Dawson got hurt too. So, and experienced player, and he has a little bit like pedigree, or I guess a little bit of pedigree. Being drafted, by Carolina, it was a 5th round pick, but still, he's a guy that wasn't like undrafted, bouncing around journeyman type.
I can't argue with any of it. I mean, I really can't. I haven't paid enough attention to Kenny Robinson to give you a good response, right? Because I'll be honest with you, we get past halftime in these preseason games, and I'm doing something else. It's on, right? It's on. The game is on. I'm going, oh, what happened there? Oh, okay. And then I'm not paying attention. So they're nameless gray faces at that point.
Yeah.
But I've heard the name enough, right? Oh, Kenny Robinson did this. I don't know. Who's Kenny Robinson? Okay. That I can't really argue with that. And I know you and Flash have paid more attention than I have, to be honest.
Yeah, and I mean, he's been making some plays, and of course, like, he's a West Virginia guy too, so
Yep.
That a lot more people are going to pay attention to that. A little bit of homerish there. There's Trenton Thompson, like Luke Bark, who didn't really. These guys just really didn't crack the shell, was so to speak. So, and just I just look at. I'm looking right now. I'm actually looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers depth chart and the way some people are named. I know it's like never read into these things or anything like that, but just. I know they got to list them a certain way, but when we're talking about all of this, Fehoko is listed with the second team, but Benton's listed with the third. When do you think Benton will be the starter? Possibly week 1. So take that with a grain of salt, right? Tanner Muse is listed with third team. That's because he's behind Quan Alexander or Mark Robinson. Quincy Roche and David Perales are your outside guys, but there's nobody else listed as a third. Your fourth team guy is Nick Kwiatkowski. So, I don't know how that works, but Kenny Robinson's listed behind Trey Norwood and Miles Killebrew as a third team guy as well. Elijah Riley, a second team nickel corner, really no such thing. So he could also play safety. I think that's like the only thing that's like either him or Trey Norwood. Somebody has to be like a backup kind of nickel guy, but we also know that Patrick Peterson's kicking in, as we alluded to. We talked about this too, Brian. Yeah. Maybe we talked about it. I know me and Flash talked about it, that Patrick Peterson's going to do what Cam Sutton did. Probably better than Cam Sutton did, to be quite frank. And he's going to move around, and he's never really going to come off the field. He will kick in, and Joey Porter, the younger guy, will play on the outside and try and make some plays. So that looks like, once we add in the other three, the final three, that's how you get to 53, even though it's still a mystery player. So you got Chris Boswell, Presley Harvin, and Christian Kuntz. So who would we say is our hot seat guys? We've got definitely like McFarland, I think, could be on the bubble, right? So I'm going to put McFarland in the bubble because I still think they add to this roster.
They of course they will.
Yeah, and watch, this thing's not going to allow me. So we got at least one guy there. Miles Boykin, probably. Like, this is where I could even make the case now that we didn't add all the linebackers. The gunner still makes this team too. Maybe not Kenny Robinson, somebody like Kenny Robinson. Maybe not somebody like Tanner Muse.
I'm still leaning towards Tanner Muse.
So. Yeah, Tanner Muse, which is fair. Tunch, God rest his soul. Best thing I probably ever heard. He said, we were talking before one of the drafts. It was like at the NFL Fan Blitz thing. There's not a lot of people there. It was whatever pick, 5th, 6th round. Like now everybody, middle of the day, people are hot, cranky, they go home. And we're sitting there a little early, front table, and, start BSing with Tunch. And he says, I bet the next pick is a linebacker. Linebackers, that's the fuel for this team. It's the fuel for this organization. So if you're going to put your money on any position and are having more, I know before I've hedged my bets and only gone with 8 linebackers. If you're going to go with 9 or 10, that's the safe place to go with more players than fewer when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Always has been. So I'm picking up what you're putting down. Our guys are kind of our hot seat guys on the, let's see, we go down the offensive line because I have Boykin, I have Dotson and Green.
Oh yeah.
Provided Herbig's healthy. Armand Watts, Montrevious Adams, Brandon Fehoko is not listed here, but he could be considered with that. So your bottom defensive lineman guys. I think the 8 linebackers we listed with Watt, Highsmith, Golden, Herbig, Holcomb, Roberts, Alexander, and Robinson, all safe. Definites. Everybody else we just named in the secondary. Well, almost everybody. I'd say James Pierre probably.
He's on the bubble.
He's a bubble.
And if they find somebody that gets cut that they like better. And I agree with the same thing with Trey Norwood.
Yeah, Trey Norwood. I mean, he's not safe. He was a 7th round pick. Yeah. And it's something that you could definitely upgrade. You could definitely upgrade him. I think Miles Killebrew is a Terrell Austin favorite, defensive coordinator's favorite, going back to his Detroit Lions years. So I think that's a pretty safe pick there, too, to say that Killebrew is going to be on there. But if any other team lets go of someone, or there's an opportunity for trades, that's something we've seen Kevin Colbert do a lot over the last several years. I mean, there was somebody like, it was like J.J. Wilcox or somebody that didn't work out, but also then Vance McDonald. Or they were able to acquire Joe Hayden as he got cut and he was a free agent. Or who else am I talking? Kello Witherspoon, that they traded for him. So there's still moves like that could be made, or guys that could be pieced together. They're not going to be significant impact. It's going to be the, bottom, 46 to 53 guys.
Joe, I'm just saying, as a Steelers fan for 24 years, I think that I would like to see Omar Khan trade number 69 for Chase Young and also their first round pick. And I think that would be a good deal, and they should do that.
There was a lot of smoke around that fire with the Chase Young thing, maybe him being available, right? And what would you even do with him at this point, like with this team?
Where are you going to put him?
Where are you going to put him?
I mean, I love the idea of bringing an Ohio State guy here, but I don't want. What am I going to do with Chase Young? Where are you going to stick him? He's going to get. He's not. This is not a team he comes to resurrect his career. He doesn't have any. There's no playing time for him.
There really isn't, and he's going to have to play edge. He's going to have to be outside linebacker, standing up, 6'5", 264.
And that's not him.
Yeah,
that's not him. He's not the right fit for this team.
He's athletic. He's athletic as all get up, but
yeah.
I mean, they just gave 2 bags to the guys. Sorry, I just whacked the microphone here. I had one of those little like gnat bugs that are flying around now. Like, what a crazy day. Like, it started out here where I live. Like, it was like 72 degrees. It had stormed like crazy. It actually broke one of my hanging flower pots. Went flying. I had like one of these little beach signs went flying. Everything's all over the place this morning. Looked like a mini tornado comes through. Then it ends up being 96 degrees. And I ended up sitting outside by the pool. So, anyways, yeah.
You have hanging flower pots.
I do. You got to beautify. You got to beautify.
So sweet.
You got to beautify.
You know what I have in my yard? I have a rock.
You have a rock.
I have some rocks outside.
Brian has a whole rock garden. His whole front yard's been replaced by stone.
I got a lawn. I mow the lawn, but it's like
you don't have any flowers. You don't have any flowers. No flowers?
No, we got some. I don't know. We bought some crap ass flowers at some place and planted them and didn't even know if they were going to turn into something. And then a storm came and they were these giant tall things and they all broke.
Yeah, they call those sunflowers.
No. They were definitely not sunflowers. They weren't that tall. Like, they weren't taller than me. So.
Oh, well then, okay. So then they weren't sunflowers.
No, they definitely weren't. I know sunflowers are big giant daisies. I know what they look like. Okay. They were not sunflowers.
Big dandelions. All right, my friend.
But don't you know daisies are the friendliest flowers, don't you think?
I don't know. Like, I'm
sorry. See, that's a You've Got Mail quote from the movie You've Got Mail.
I just got like criticized, I think, for mentioning like a rom-com Alexander.
That movie fits everything. It's got Godfather quotes in it. It's got a quote called "It's pissing me off," actually, which I use constantly. It's great. It's got the best quotes ever.
They could not make that movie in 2023, not because of the questionable content, but because it's called You've Got Mail, and nobody's had AOL for like 30 years now.
Yeah. No, it's the funniest part of watching it again after a million years is the dial-up sounds.
We wouldn't be able to do this, actually. It's quite incredible to think about. Yeah. There would be no such thing as podcast if we were still dialing up. So,
no, there would not.
Yeah, there would be like no smartphones. The world might be a better place, actually. So potentially.
Except we would not be able to do that. No, you and I would never have connected. In that world, it would have been a sad, our lives would have been diminished.
I would have met you on MySpace. You would have been right there with Tom, my top 8. Well, maybe not that far. I could probably think of
I think I was on MySpace for about a week.
Oh, MySpace was so much fun. I had a lot of stuff on there, good stuff on there. It disappeared from my younger years. I'd love to be able to go back, like with Facebook still lasting, and you can go back and get some memories. But anyways, my friend, I mean, we don't have a definitive 53, but we probably had close to at least like a 50 or a 51 there, probably, or somewhere in the whereabouts.
51. So whatever works.
I think it really boiled down to is Gunner make the team, does Kendrick Green make the team, or does anybody get traded? And who was our third or last guy? Oh, one of the other linebackers.
I'll go out and jump out on a limb and say there is a guy that will be on the 53-man roster that's not on the team right now.
Yeah, I guarantee that too. Almost galvanize that. It has to be. Yeah. You would have to think. You just saw Isaiah Simmons go to the Giants for a 7th-round pick. So not to say the Steelers looked at that by this point and was just like, yeah, whatever. Like, what are we going to do with somebody like that? I really liked seeing the Landon Roberts in action today too. Like,
yeah, looked good.
He looked sharp. I don't know if like it was just playing time, just whatever it was. Like he finally I got to see a little more from him. I was getting a little concerned. Now it's like Just bring it. I'm ready for the regular season. Next week, folks, we're going to go live at some point. Myself and Brian, we're going to go through the whole AFC North. That's right. So you Cleveland Clowns fans that are out there that want to troll on the show, this is your opportunity to actually jump in live, and we'll ignore you. Wait, you have 2 of those? Yeah, I think you had 2 of them.
I have the bald version.
Yes.
And I have the mohawk version.
That's incredible. I don't think I didn't notice or I didn't know that. That is just, and it's also disturbing. Got like a whole army of them over there.
You know why? Because I had a Groupon.
Oh, yeah, and you had to buy them in a group. You had to get like at least 2 to get the special price.
I had a Groupon. It was a discount.
Well, folks, we will be live at some point next week. We're thinking Wednesday night, possibly. Or
you said that was no good for you. Thursday night.
Wednesday, maybe Thursday night. Yeah, maybe Thursday.
Thursday night.
But we will put it out on our social channels. So take a look here. We got a little call out at the bottom of this screen here. You can follow us at Steel City Undergur on X or Steel City Underground on Facebook.
I have a new sign too. I'm waiting. It's not this sign. We know this sign, right?
Yes.
I have a new sign. I bought it in Woodstock that I'm gonna show for the very first time on the live show.
Oh, that's very exciting. So,
unless I forget because I'm old.
I thought I had to show you this, Brian. I'm always got stuff that's like on the back shelf. People some people pay attention. They have it full screen.
There was a noise back there. It sounded like a dog or a squirrel taking a crap. I don't know what it was.
What? Oh, who? What? No.
Something.
But I was showing this to Flash off the air. You would have better appreciation for it because you were at least alive. I can't say that he was. My uncle found this, and it was 1991 Steelers Media Guide. That would be the final year of Chuck Noll. So this is our 2%ers content right here.
Very nice.
In 1993. So you miss a year in between here where the, you get the Chrysler Plymouth van as official sponsor.
Yikes.
Yeah, big yikes. But if I could flip to it again, like real quick, the funny thing is, oh, there it is too. There's good old Dick Haley, Todd Haley's dad, and let's see, Bubby Brister's in here.
The Bub.
Yeah, so this is my most fun because this is when I was really starting to get into football. Look at this. Barry Foster doesn't take up a full page. You have Eric Green on here too, right? I'll try to put it a little more center. So Barry Foster, that's 91. Was that his rookie year? No, second year. So 90 was his rookie year. As you know, in 92 he had like 1,800 yards rushing. So when you get to, and this is hilarious because I accidentally flipped to the wrong thing. Yeah, Merrill Hodge. Merrill Hodge is in 93.
Yeah.
It's almost 2 pages for Merrill Hodge. He's got some Steelers history there, right? Carlton Hasselrig. Kevin Green. Kevin Green's in there. Kevin Green's got a full page. It's like, for the folks that are just listening to the audio version, these are these tall, skinny books, right? But so full page is kind of like a big deal, a really big deal. But it just goes to show you how far Barry Foster went in just the course of like a span of 91 and 92 to 93. He goes almost like a page and a half for his entry. And that's the way you used to get this information. This is like, that's pre-dial up kind of whatever. So I actually do have some interesting things here in the old bookcase.
You know what they call that back in the day? Reading.
Oh, yeah. People don't do that anymore. They don't listen either.
Reading.
But if you do like reading, go over to steelcityunderground.com. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave us a rating or review. And we appreciate you leaving the good ratings and reviews because we do get some trolls out there, either petty competitors or people who don't like the Steelers that try to bring us down a little bit. We still have a really great rating, and there's a decent amount of people that have been gracious enough with their time to do that for us. So just one little click and boom, you can be done wherever you're watching or listening from. We appreciate you, and we appreciate you joining us once again, Mr. Brian E. Roach. Thank you for the late evening and a Steelers victory in Atlanta. Blanking 24-0, blanking them out. So
there you go. 3-0.
Yep.
3-0 in the preseason. They're going to go 22-0 now.
Yep. And Kenny with the damn near perfect. Although Dale Lawley typed that stat up as like he had 1,999 yards passing in the preseason on like 17 attempts or whatever it was. But
wow, that's really good.
That was like really impressive. But I'm going to have
1,900 yards on 17 attempts. That's like 110 yards an attempt.
Yeah, it's breaking records. It's like they're playing on the Canadian field now. So and that's the only way they could do it. But anyways, till next time, my name's Joe. His name's Brian. As always, we encourage everyone out there to be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.